Fire up your soul, fire up your soul, fire up your soul. Gundam, make you rush.
Alright, we're back. We were talking about a theory.
Oh yeah, so interesting theory I heard a while ago about 40k. All the Loyalist Marines, their Primarchs, all of them had a planet that they actually cared about. Whereas all of the ones that turned to Chaos didn't like their planet, or had no planet.
That's actually verifiably untrue, because Mangus the Red really liked Prospero. Also,
Yeah, but he turned to Chaos when Prospero was already fucked.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like, your planet is either fucked,
Also,
not there, or you don't care about it.
I was gonna say, there's a couple other ones who didn't like their a couple loyalists who didn't like their planet. Well, no, because the Dark Angel's planet exploded, although I think that was during the Heresy.
Also, whether or not they're traitors is unknown.
Yeah. Lionel Johnson ultimately was loyalist, but he might... Back to the whole, all the Primarchs had a mental problem. Lionel Johnson might have actually been autistic. Whereas Rabot Guillemont
Or
was...
Robot Guy Man, depending on who you ask.
Or Robert Guyman. Robert Guyman was probably the Rain Man syndrome. Whatever that is.
I'm pretty sure that was autism as well.
Okay, yeah. It's the different flavor of it.
Yeah, autism comes in a lot of degrees.
Yeah. Mr. Guyman was the very thinky, very calculating numbers one, like you.
Yep.
Whereas Lionel Johnson was the I can't into social interaction.
Well,
autism.
Part of his thing was that he also grew up in, like, a forest of chaos demons.
Yeah.
And, for most of his...
Well, not chaos, but... He grew up in a pretty bad place. Caliban was not nice before it exploded.
He grew up in a forest full of things that, like, all of them were uniquely horrible in their own special way. And, he had developed a theory, apparently, while there, that he was also one of these horrible creatures. So, when he finally met a human, he was super fucking confused. Like, how are there two of us?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, once again, most of the Primarchs didn't have a great upbringing. Like, Russ was legitimately raised by wolves a la Romulus and Remus. He then proceeded to find other humans, was also confused, adopted by their king surprisingly easily, and then when the king was about to die, was like, I nominate this giant motherfucker to be my replacement. And smartly, no one contested this.
This giant 10-year-old.
I nominate this 10-year-old who is currently taller than myself and others, who seems to have come with an entire wolf pack. He seems like a suitable replacement.
Yeah, it was a thing where the Primarchs matured remarkably fast. So, like, they were like 5-year-olds who were 8 feet tall and muscled like He-Man.
If you know fucking JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, just imagine all the 16-year-olds in Part 3, like JoJo and Kakyoin, who are both superhumans.
Yep.
Barrel-chested nightmare men. But yeah, you have Marinez Caligar, or sorry, no, fucking Robert Guyman. I'm just gonna say that because it's fucking easier. You have Robert Guyman, who grew up in an entire planet of political intrigue and Romanesque-style backstabbing.
Oh, fuck,
and then
I hate political intrigue, especially in real life.
Yeah. But here's the thing. He grew up on that, immediately deduced that it was inefficient, took over by force, and was like, I'm now going to write a fair and balanced system of law, and then enforce it with my own two hands. Then he, within a few short years, his political nightmare of a world turned into a paradise planet, the likes of which was almost unseen anywhere else in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, he autismed so good, he became a duke.
For those of you who don't know me in real life, there's a shitload of politics around my family, so I've also... Politicians as well. So I've also grown up to fucking hate politics. Unfortunately, I'm scrawny and weedy, and I cannot beat up...
Yeah. You cannot just take Parliament by force and impose a better system.
Yeah. Believe me, if I could have, I would have.
Yeah. I mean, mind you, a Primarch being a fucking demigod tank human being, he did it pretty damn fast. Rome was destroyed and then rebuilt in a day by one man.
Yep.
Let me think. Some of the other Primarchs that had some problems. I think Jedakai Khan might have been the only instance of a Primarch without an identifiable mental problem.
Other than the fact that he was clearly an adrenaline junkie.
Well, I mean, even then, it was within reason, because he wasn't known for... Unlike some of the other Primarchs, he wasn't known for forgoing sound strategy.
He wore a fucking helmet whenever he went super fast on his bike.
Yeah.
Is the point.
No, I mean, like, if the situation did not call for a host of bikes careening into a field of guns, he wouldn't have done with a host of bikes, because even he could identify it wasn't the time or place.
That being said, however, he fucking loved his bike.
Yeah, I mean, if the situation did not explicitly forbid his bike, then by all means he was going to ride that bike.
But he was intelligent enough to know when the bike was an active liability.
Yeah. He may or may not have had Professor Oak in his ears at all times. That is yet to be seen. The Salamander Primarch.
He was black.
Vulcan.
Don't take that out of context.
Actually, he wasn't, by the way.
Yeah, no, when I say he was black, I mean he was like hex code 00000.
No, I mean he actually
black.
wasn't.
Really?
That would have only been the people from the planet Volcanus.
Yeah, he was from Volcanus. He got
No.
the radiation shit, didn't he?
No, he was put on Volcanus, but much like a lot of the Heresy-era officers, he's Terran-born, so he never inherited the pitch-black charcoal skin of being constantly bombarded by radiation.
And by black, we
red
do
eyes.
not mean African American.
No, folks at home, when we say black, we actually mean these guys are born on a planet with so much radiation, you pretty much inherit charcoal skin.
Yeah. Like the
So actually, I believe it's actually a form of benign cancer that they're just born with.
The working theory for skin coloration is that the closer you grew up to the equator, or at least your ancestors did, the more melanin you need in your skin in order
to not have gotten cancer.
Yeah, to not get skin cancer.
So when you're on a planet with a fucked up sun that's beaming you with radiation, you're gonna get a lot of melanin real fucking fast.
Yeah.
They also got red eyes because the light that is causing this radiation, I believe, was in the UV spectrum. Like
so they had special eyes designed to.
No, they just evolved their eyes to be better, and then by consequence, this made them red.
Ah.
This is also why they're one of the scariest human beings, because they have pitch black skin and red eyes.
Yeah.
Like nightmare shadow people. Anyway, he did not have this. Oh no, wait, I think he did actually. He shouldn't, though. He's depicted with it a lot of the times, but he really shouldn't be. Because it was only natural-born Nocturnes that had this.
Okay, so it's just...
Volcanus? I don't fucking remember what the planet was called. Because Nocturne was for some... No. Noctis was for the Night Lords, I think. With Space Batman.
Right, who hated everyone and couldn't actually run a country. All he could do was murder people.
Yeah, well, I mean, going on the theme of terrible upbringings, imagine Gotham City stretching over an entire planet, but 3 out of every 4 people were in the Rogues Gallery.
Yep.
Now imagine what a young Bruce Wayne... Now imagine you take Bruce Wayne out of that situation and ask him to run a country.
And give him basically Superboy strength.
Yeah.
Like, not Superman, but
No.
like up there.
He's up there. More realist. I'd say Luke... Yeah, Luke Cage almost is fair.
Okay, yeah, Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Give Batman Luke Cage powers.
Yeah.
As well as super intelligence.
Yeah. The ability to perceive actions fast, like, you know, that
Before
whole...
they occur.
Well, not before, like, it wasn't precognition, but it's that stupid superpower of being able to see faster, which a reasonable person is just assuming as your brain can interpret it faster.
Yeah,
that kind of shit.
It's actually a thing where the human brain actually can't react to something until like 0.05 of a second has passed.
And yeah, like there's always that superpower of you get like a couple nanoseconds earlier.
Yeah.
Like what the guy in the Watchmen had.
Oh, not Rorschach. Fuck, what was his name?
The world's smartest man guy.
Ozymandias.
That's the
Ozymandias.
dude. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, I mean, you take Bruce Wayne, give him these extra powers, and never having had an Alfred or parents in the first place. Just imagine he was born from the dying womb. And then just remove the only, like,
Positive influence.
positive influence of his life. Probably he knew a Jim Gordon for like 5 minutes, and then that guy died. In front of him.
Yeah.
Bad life. Conrad Cruz really fucked in the head. So yeah.
There was a whole thing where he...
I believe actually he's one of the instances of his Legion got noticeably worse by his presence.
Yeah, it was actually
Like,
a thing where
They were, because, like, he was, like, the entire thing is there's a theory, well, it's not even a theory. All of the legions were, like, an attempt to recreate the Primarch project.
Yeah.
So all of the legions had, like, a sort of inbuilt strength proportionately related to what their Primarch was meant to be good for in the first place. So the Night Lords were already good terror shock units. Now, they weren't, like, sadistic monsters until Conrad Cruz showed up and he's like, you know, you can cut crime by a noticeable percentage if you gore people and decorate their base with them.
Actually, not wrong.
Actually, I guess a better example is imagine if you gave Batman's tactical acumen to the Punisher and then gave him Luke Cage's powers.
Yeah, that's actually shockingly accurate. Also, my head is now so high level that the head Vulcan deals almost as much damage as the chest Vulcan.
Yeah, I know. I didn't notice that on my my ultimatum either, but that has become the case, and I'm like, oh, this is an acceptable solution.
Yeah.
Actually, it's got better damage than my chain gun. Just my chain gun has more ammo, shoots faster, and has a better range.
I think it also benefits from Gatling DPS, and I have a bunch of that.
The head Vulcans do not, actually.
Oh, really?
They are machine guns, I believe.
Okay. Anyway, basically, Conrad Cruz took over his planet.
Actually, he never successfully took over his planet. He kind of just vigilanted it.
Right. And basically,
he was given administration of it after, you know, the Emperor found him. But I believe he delegated that to someone who he identified as being at least slightly less psychotic than himself.
Okay.
Although his legion then proceeded to go psychotic by his presence, because he was like, hey guys, I can teach you 1,000,001 ways to skin a man, but leave him alive so we can tell everyone else what you did.
He's like Ramsay Bolton, but
Yeah.
with the power to actually do what he thinks he can do.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he's like Ramsay Bolton until the sword was taken from his hands.
Yep. Oh man, there was actually one scene in Game of Thrones that I thought was really, really good, where Ramsay Bolton was trying to intimidate Asha, that one wildling woman.
Yeah.
And he's like, so, you ever seen anyone flayed alive before? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, and just kills her.
Well, I can see you're a lost cause. Bring me another.
No, it's like he's super trying to intimidate her, and then she's like, so, you gonna eat me after you flay my skin? No, well then I've seen worse.
Well, fair enough.
And then he just kills her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at that point, she's just ruining his fun.
He's not going to successfully intimidate her at all, because she's seen the shit that the wildlings do.
Yeah, and you don't get a name like a wildling without having done at least a little bit of shit that's not okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, but but Primarchs, who else had a really fucked up thing? I'm trying to think of some of the other really fucked up Primarchs. So like, actually, what's it? All told, Robert Guyman, pretty okay upbringing. Mangus, despite being a one-eyed, red-faced freak, pretty good upbringing.
Yeah, Magnus really didn't have any problems until shit started going down on his planet.
He didn't. Okay, the only problem he really had was
people kept telling him not to use sorcery, and he kept using sorcery.
What's that disorder where like you think you're the smartest man ever? Like
not
it's
megalomania.
Something like it's an egotism problem.
Yeah.
Effectively, everyone like they had this big. No, go back and look at that for a second.
Yeah, I know his parts are
just.
I know.
You keep trying, buddy. You'll get it eventually. So yeah. There was a point when everyone was using psychic powers and they thought it was Nido Kino. Then the Emperor had to be like, yeah, guys, no more psychic powers.
This is causing warp energies to kill us all.
Well, he didn't tell them what was going on, because he smartly deduced that people being power-hungry sons of bitches, being told that they're accidentally accessing the dimension of monsters that are willing to cut evil deals, not a good idea. So, he's like, alright, look, we're gonna have this big talk, and they had the Nicaea Convention, where it was all decided that, okay, no sorcery.
I can't tell you why, just stop.
He's like, you can't do sorcery, it's fucking up the reality. And everyone's like, okay. And he's like, here is a list of things that are okay for sorcery. It was a very short list. Mangus proceeded to look, in one of the lists was also, you gotta keep your number of psychers in check. Mangus took one look at this list and thought, that's dumb. And then proceeded to ignore the entirety of it. Now, there's a hot debate about the Space Wolves having their own tribal magic. About whether or not, like, why that was okay. And the thing is that people don't seem to realize.
Some people are arguing that it wasn't okay and that they were just disobeying as well.
Yeah. Well, here was the thing. They had expressed permission that it was okay, and so did a lot of other chapters for their own small psychic powers.
So long as they kept the numbers in check.
You had to keep your numbers in check, and it was a very specific thing. You weren't allowed to do shit that ran the risk of contacting demons. Rolling bones around and talking to world spirits, surprisingly, not actually contacting demons, after it was later revealed that the Space Wolf's wolf spirit, which is, thought to be tribal nonsense, turned out to be real.
It's an actual wolf spirit that lives somewhere on their planet.
More likely that Fenris has a benign psychic presence that happens to like people and dislike chaos. Because when Fenris was being invaded by the Thousand Suns, and Ahriman, the Wizard Supreme, was just like, yeah, I could do whatever I want to this fucking planet, and you can't stop me. He was then taught a very harsh lesson when a wolf shape made of raw magma swallowed a large chunk of his legion.
Oh yeah, don't they still have that ability where they can create like a maw in the earth that will just eat people?
It has since been nerfed, and now it's a targeted. It's under the classification of targeted powers, and it won't eat everyone on a line. It will eat one specific person.
It used to be super overpowered.
Well, that was the thing against Space Marines. They had pretty much a 2/3 chance of surviving. It's just if you were orcs, necrons, effectively, if you had shit initiative, you were fucked.
Yeah, especially with necrons because you have shit initiative and not a lot of people.
Yeah.
And when you lose your not a lot of people, you lose the game immediately.
Well, that got changed the second they got updated.
Oh, sorry.
Phase out has been gone for a while.
Okay, it used to be a thing back when I played.
Yeah.
That if Necrons got reduced to 25% of their forces, they just fucking lost. Their forces just teleported out and called it a day.
I mean, the entire fluff implication was that they'd be back once they repaired enough of their dudes. But
it sucked for playing.
Yeah, they have since gotten rid of that. They've also added more vehicles and more other shit. You can actually do some very interesting lists.
Their vehicles used to be monoliths.
Yeah. Now you've got, like, giant longboats with fucking Gauss arrays, a giant Gauss cannon firing Skelebaut. You've got fucking flying transports that don't even have a transport capacity themselves. You just keep a full squad in ongoing reserves, and they teleport out of, like, a warp point in the vehicle.
The monolith does that, too, where, you just keep people in reserves, and the monolith just teleports people in.
Yeah. The advantage of that, the flyer, is that you can go back in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of cool stuff like that. Anyway, so, back to Mangus. He was told, you can't do psychic powers anymore. He promptly ignored that, and then he had everything he hoped and dreamed of ruined when he had a psychic vision. Literally, it was all a plot, but he was given a psychic vision of the heresy happening.
Yep.
And he sends a telepathic message to the Emperor. Now, one of the major reasons why the Emperor was like, this psychic shit needs to be kept in check, was the psychic message that, oh, that's a blue part. You want to take that.
Melee Claw?
Yeah. If nothing else, you can uplift some parts.
Yeah, that's true.
So, he sends a message. Now, part of the thing was he didn't use any of the...
Blast radius increase!
Wait, hold on. You know what? We'll keep going in just a second, folks.